Good morning, everybody. My name is Dorothy Felix, and I will be your geography teacher for this term. We are now in S3, and a very good welcome to you all. And we start off in geography this term. We are going to learn two topics. Okay, our two main topics for this term, we're going to concentrate on number 1, development and trade, and 2, introduction to industry and fishing. And for the 4 weeks, so for the first topic, we are going to dedicate the 4 weeks on development and trade. And please note that additional activities will be added on the website. So as much as we're going to have this lesson, following that, you're going to on the website and get additional activities for each lesson. Okay, so we start off with development. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to 1. Define the terminologies that we associate with development. So we're talking about development, globalization, MEDC, LEDC, NIC, GNP, GDP, and HDI. So these may be difficult terms, but at the end of this lesson, we will be able to understand those terminologies, because we should understand those terminologies because we're going to use it with this topic. And it's important that we understand those terminologies before we go into this topic in greater detail. So what is development? In geography, when we talk about development, we refer to a number of features. So what are those features? We talk about increased use of technology. It's a development, increased use of technology. We talk about economic growth. We talk about population change. We talk about increased use of resources. We talk about modernization. And we talk about political and cultural freedom. What is development? We can describe development as the process that creates growth, progress, positive change, or the addition of physical, economic, environmental, social, and demographic components. When we talk about demographic components, you know, because we've done this in S1, demographic components, it means we are talking about the population. Another one, we can look at development as measures on how economically, socially, culturally, or technologically advanced a country is. Types of development. The different types of development. So we're going to see some example of the types of development. Economic development. Economic development, it means that there is growth of the standard of living of a nation's population from a low income or otherwise poor to a high income or rich economy. There tends to be an improved local quality of life. When there is an improved local quality of life, this is equal to more economic development. Next, sustainable development. Sustainable development is where a country is able to develop without damaging the natural environment. Next, we have social development. Social development, it means there is improved well-being of every individual in a society so that they can reach their full potential. Regional development. What is regional development? Anyone? Yes? Anyone? Okay, very good. So regional development is developing particular region of a country or area. For example, when we're talking about regional development in Seychelles, or let's say on Mahé, we can say development of South region, development of Central region. Okay, what about in the region? What's another regional? Yes, very good. We can also say Indian Ocean as a region. And also, I can add, we can say East African region. Very good. We move on. Next. Finally, with my examples, we talk about human development. Anybody can tell me what is human development? Human development. Yes? Another one? Okay. People, give me something else, give me something else. Jobs, very good. Okay. So when we talk about human development, access of a population to wealth, access of a population to jobs, to education, nutrition, health, welfare, and safety, as well as cultural and political freedom. Okay, very good. So I've given you 5 different types of development. Can you give me, okay, for like 1 minute, some additional development? Or what are the other developments? Yes, very good. I hear urban development. What else? Okay. Think of other developments. Okay. Thank you. We move on. Next, to the next after development, we're going to see the other terminologies. Like when we started, we're going to look at different terminologies that we associate with development. So, the next we're looking at globalization. When we talk about globalization, we are also talking about the process of interaction or integration among people, businesses, and governments worldwide or on an international scale. Okay, globalization. So we already with the word globalization, we see globe, very good, and we are talking worldwide. So next, MEDC. When we talk about MEDC, we are talking about the more economically developed country. So these, anybody has heard of MEDC? No? Okay. So don't worry, we are going, after the end of this lesson, everybody will know about MEDCs and LEDCs. So MEDCs are the most developed countries, because you see there is more economically developed countries. So these countries are developed and they have high standards of living. An example of a developed country with high standards of living, give me one. Yes, very good. USA is one. China, no. It should be high developed and high standards. Like the other one said USA, so we can think about other ones. So we will know more about it as we move in the lesson. LEDCs. When we talk about LEDCs, now we are looking at the less economically developed countries. And these ones now, they are the lower stage of development and they have a lower quality of life. Next, we have what we call NICs. These NICs now, they are also, which is called the newly industrialized country. They are also known as the middle income countries. Like MEDCs are high income countries, LEDCs are low income countries. Now NICs, they are middle income countries, and we can look at it as a subset of developing countries whose economic growth is much higher than that of other developing countries. So they are a sort of developing country, but the difference is that their economic growth is much higher than that of developing countries, but they are not as developed or have high standards as a more economically developed country. Okay, good? Good. Now, these NICs, or newly industrialized countries, they have experienced rapid industrial, social, and economic growth since 1960. And an example can be Brazil or Taiwan. So we are going to see on our map, map 1, where these LEDCs and MEDCs and NICs are. So if we look at our map, we can see in light green and green that it's a lot. Yes, I know it's a lot, but these are the LEDCs. Now these are the less economically developing countries. They are the less economically developing countries. And as we can see, you can also check with your atlas. Have your atlas, everybody have your atlas around. Let's look at Africa, which is the one in the center. We can see that most of Africa is green, which means most of the countries in Africa are the low economically developing countries. Can somebody tell me one country in Africa? Yes? Yes, Egypt, very good. Where is Egypt? Everybody sees Egypt? Okay, very good. It's in the north, very good. So up there we see Egypt. Make sure everybody sees Egypt on the atlas. Good. If we move to South America, we see South America, part of it is in green, which means then these countries are the less economically developing countries. And one country here, yes, very good, Argentina. Okay, and then we can check the other countries as well. So, but then if we look at South America also, we see another color. We see blue. And blue already tells us that it is an NIC, which is the newly industrialized countries. Okay, so we see Brazil. Then if we move on to Africa, we see the southern part. Which country is it? Very good, South Africa. South Africa is also an NIC. Then we have another color. Yes, gray. And these gray colors, or even red, there's a red one there among the countries in Europe, which is in gray. So these countries are the more economically developed countries. So we see countries like the whole of North America. So we see USA, we see Canada, we see Alaska, we see most of Europe, very good. And what is the country down there? Yes, Australia, and then there's another one next to it. Very good, New Zealand. Okay. So to assess economic development, geographers use economic indicators such as GNP and GDP. So what are those economic indicators? Okay, so when we talk about GNP, we are talking about the gross national product. This measures the total economic output of a country, including earnings from foreign investors. And then in addition to the gross national product, we also have the GNP per capita. And this is a country's GDP divided by its population. And per capita means per person. What is GDP? GDP is the gross domestic product, which is the monetary value of all finished goods and services made within a country during a specific period. GDP is used to estimate the size of an economy and growth rate. Okay, so these are two different terms. Make sure you don't mix the two. One is gross national product, the other one is gross domestic product. Okay. And HDI. HDI means the Human Development Index. And HDI, since 1980, the United Nations or the UN has used HDI to measure levels of development. And when we talk about the levels of development, we are talking about 0.0 on its lowest value, meaning there's almost no development, up to 1.0, which is the maximum value. Okay, and HDI is more reliable as it includes the 3 indices of well-being. Okay, so it is more reliable and accurate, and the 3 indices we are talking about: life expectancy, literacy and schooling, and have a decent standard of living. So all these are the 3 indices of well-being. And then if we look at the diagram here, it is a diagram from the United Nations, used by the United Nations, and we can see also, so the dimensions, we are talking about the indices: long and healthy life, knowledge, and a decent standard of living. So the indicators, we are talking about life expectancy, as we see before, expected years of schooling, and the mean years of schooling, and GNI per capita. So GNI is the gross national income for each particular country we are talking about. Now we have come to the end of our lesson 1 for today. And before we go on, we're going to summarize today's lesson. Today's lesson, we talked about development. And development is the process by which a nation improves the economic, political, and social well-being of its people. And then for us to understand the topic, we need to understand the following definitions: globalization, MEDCs, LEDCs, NIC, GNP, GDP, and HDI. Next lesson, first we are going to go over the activity 1 that we did today, and we are going to describe the influence of certain key factors that can give an indication on the development of a country. So that is next lesson. So for your activity, the homework activity, you have 5 questions, and I give you time to copy your questions. You can make use of other resources, your books at home, your map. Don't forget to have your atlas, and I'll see you next lesson.